Open the meeting now at 6:01. Kelly couldn't make it tonight, she's teaching. And Jim emailed me and he'll be here next month, he's leaving Florida next week, so
Nice.
that'll be great. So we can review the minutes that I hobbled together. Any changes, deletions, additions. Good job.
That means you can't pledge allegiance to the flag.
Oh,
So you've been out in the woods at all, or what?
the what?
You've been out in the woods at all?
No, no,
You don't do any law?
no, I don't do that. I leave it to the young bucks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Though I still enjoy it, getting out there.
Oh, getting out.
Any open water fishing?
From my steps,
Did you catch anything?
a stick. And I lost a lure. Anything? Omissions or any of that?
Make a motion to accept as read.
A second?
Or written, I guess, sorry.
See no objections? All those in favor? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have a report. We'll move right into the sign update. The one thing we talked about last time was coming up with some language that we might want to put on the town website, just to give people a heads up. And one thing I didn't know, Dan, is this something that the select board would like to see before it gets posted?
I mean, I don't know. Like personally, I don't feel like that's something that would need to be, unless it was something like you're never allowed on this. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't hurt, but I'd have to check. I
Yeah.
don't feel like that's something that feels very micromanaging.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can follow up with that.
Okay.
But I feel
I
like
mean, I'm presuming that we're just giving a little blurb about it to the selectmen or Jen are giving it to the IT guy and he's just adding it on,
Yeah.
yeah.
however that goes.
That's typically, like, I feel like, what I would think, and I would follow up, is I think you create whatever you want, whether it's a flyer or a blurb or however you want it on there, and you can send it to me and the town administrator to send to Dan, and if the town administrator, because she's the best at, like,
Mhm.
because she knows everything, if she sees anything, she'll probably just say, I made a few edits. I think that would probably be the best.
Okay.
I don't think you need the select board's approval. I think just what you folks are thinking, and town administration might be like, hey, maybe this makes more sense to just add small edits like that. But I don't think the context. I feel like you folks know what you're doing and
Okay.
what you're aiming for.
Do we want to try to come up with something?
I mean, I suppose the only thing you're looking at really is to announce I mean, if you go to like, I feel like the Conjunction Junction guy on Saturday morning TV when I was a kid, are we just going for like the what and the why? And then saying, okay, here we go, here's
Yeah,
a
why-
little semi-small paragraph kind of thing?
Couple of lines, maybe, something?
We're putting up some signage to show proper location
Property location?
of the properties, town forest properties, town conservation land properties, and, hopefully this will further our goals of conservation later, or, you know, allow more acknowledgement of the existence of these pieces, you know, something to that effect,
Yeah.
I guess. Spitballing.
Do you have an idea of when the signs themselves are gonna be, like, to get an image or something? Because I feel like that would make sense to have an image of them with that post.
Well, as a matter of fact,
That way, when people use what the signs look like, what they are, what they're for, like the reason behind the name.
Right.
There it is.
Nice.
and then I did bring some aluminum nails. But I don't know if
You
those.
gotta drill a hole in it, or do you
I
just
think,
punch
I think I'll just punch through.
Might not be a bad move to punch them ahead of time, that way we don't end up with a sign that hangs like this, though. But nevertheless, we can.
Fingers like this. Yeah, aluminum nails aren't very strong.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, I could probably drill them or something.
Well, like I said, I was thinking we were going this way.
Yeah, I know, but
So if we end up doing that, which is fine, we're just gonna have to make that much more of an important decision on exactly where middle is, otherwise they'll be like this for 20 years. Right, it's that way.
it. You think you should put a washer on it too?
well,
Nah,
those,
they have they've got like a roofing nail head on them.
yeah.
Oh, I see there, you had, okay.
I think that would,
That's a woman?
yeah.
So remind me, we are doing this for which lot first? We're doing it for the Town Farm Road lot first? Is
Well,
that the idea, since we're doing perhaps a plan and update and information and location of other things on the Hebo-Hibo upcoming,
well,
perhaps?
we'll be able to purchase more after July 1st, because that's when the new budget year starts.
Right,
And in the warrant, it's, our budget, we hope, will be $500, so. We can buy more because we don't have the setup fee if we wanna use this style. But I think we talked about saving a few anyway, just to mark the beginning of the town farm lot.
hold on, back up a half a step. So again, are you planning on doing if we're going to do the entire frontage of one of them first, based upon the number of signs that we have, are we
Right.
doing the Town Farm Road lot first, or the Hebo-Hibo lot first?
I understood it was the Hebo-Hibo lot.
Because again, like I said, we did talk about trying to mitigate the damage, and therefore that way, that could be a reason as to why.
Right.
I know the far corner, we did have to do a little better location, or at least re-amend. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've actually seen the point on the far end of it,
Of.
the Hebo-Hibo
Okay.
lot. Remember how we were kind of looking around
Yeah,
when
yeah,
the
yeah.
forest type has changed and
Yeah.
stuff, so, precision on that far corner, if it needs to be determined more precisely, hopefully will happen upon the field work for the, plan, should it be
Right.
voted in.
Right.
But obviously, the location of the trails and frontage can be marked out to hopefully, like you said, keep out the traffic.
Right.
Okay.
I envision, after talking before, I envisioned keeping, half a dozen for the town farm lot,
For sure.
and just both ends with that road that goes through it.
Well, again, if we're ordering more within a couple
6
of months, then we can have it all done by the fall, presumably.
Right. That make sense?
Yeah.
So having said that, is if we're on to the schedule, I don't know, well, we're not on to the schedule yet, we'll talk about that in a
No,
minute.
the language.
Okay, language, the release language, got it.
So did you get any of that?
Which part?
The language that he was,
My blathering,
Oh, your blatherings. One of the highlights of my month. We are putting up some signage to show town forest / I put forest / conservation land just to
Okay.
keep both those words in there. properties or boundaries. We are hoping with this signage, we're hoping this signage will lead to a greater awareness of town properties and help raise, I said awareness twice, raise awareness of ongoing efforts to, ongoing educational efforts. I kind of trailed off as we started discussing.
Yeah, well, I obviously, like you said, the word blather is a good word. Yeah.
So we're putting up some signage to show town forest properties or town conservation land, or the boundaries. We are hoping with this signage, we're hoping that this signage will lead to a greater awareness of town properties and possibly help
Our conservation efforts,
our conservation efforts. Nice.
that sound,
So the words that I would want to make sure we have in there, and again, this is just for proofreading's sake,
Yep.
are conservation, frontage, like as opposed to implying that we're doing all the way around them at this point. We don't have signage for that.
road frontage.
Well, does that imply, if I say frontage, does that imply road frontage or no? Just for his sake on actually writing this out. You can say road frontage,
Road
that's fine.
frontage. I think.
Okay,
You gotta try to remember this is going to the public, so you gotta think of the
yep,
person like me
audience,
who has
right,
the
the
least
audience.
amount of knowledge and has no idea what is being talked about. So yeah, road frontage would probably be helpful.
Really?
Right, you think that's better, road frontage?
I think so,
Wouldn't have to
yeah.
yeah.
Go all the way around.
That's what it means to me already, but it might
Yeah.
not mean that to the general
This is
public.
your area of expertise.
Right,
Like you
yep.
live and breathe everything.
Yep.
This, that.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if the
yeah.
concept is conservation, location, frontage, then we can spin off and decide how long we want this thing to be.
If there
Couple
were,
sentences
if there
max.
was a walking trail, would you put a little sign, walking trail or anything like that?
Eventually.
Eventually, not now, I would say no. Right now, it's just located.
Just
Okay.
Yep. Because we don't know yet if or to what extent we're going to be doing something later, like a informational, whether it's, you wanna call it a kiosk, or a don't go here, or don't ATV there. The first thing is just locate it.
Something like that.
So verbiage, something like to sign along the frontage to start education toward the conservation of these lands.
It might help if you just go like sentence by sentence. And
Yeah, I'm trying to wait for somebody to grab a hold of a word
Well,
or two.
because I had a couple of thoughts. The beginning, you say we. I think it sounds a little bit better if you say the Conservation Forestry Committee instead of we.
Well, and that was just kind of a placeholder. I replaced it with the Town of Acton Conservation Forestry Committee.
Perfect. And
Right,
then instead
yep.
of saying, I don't think you have to say repeat Conservation Forestry Land. I think you just have to say like Town of Acton Land or I don't know, something like that. And I think that will flow better because that way you're not repeating it twice in the same sentence.
Is putting up some signage on road frontage to show town conservation land?
Oh, just like town property because it is town property.
Yes,
So I think just doing town property, because I think the idea you're gonna talk about it later on, and I just, having conservation twice, like, so close to each other, just sounds very like,
Redundant.
word.
yeah.
So the Town of Acton Conservation Forestry Committee is putting up some signage on road frontage to show town property.
To identify, to mark, to, I don't know, I'm
Identify town lands.
yeah, perfect. I'm an English person, I don't know what select board meetings and very grammatical and stuff, so I apologize. But yeah, I think that sounds good.
Okay, so the Town of Acton Conservation and Forestry Committee is putting up some signage on road frontage to identify town lands. We're hoping that this signage will lead to a greater awareness of town properties and help our conservation efforts.
Instead of saying we, should we say the committee?
Ah, thank you.
And get rid of the word some in front of some signage.
That's the forestry training coming in right there.
Well, when I have, all these little things come back to bite you, what does some mean, or
Yeah,
does
I
some
know.
mean this or that or the
Identify,
other?
quantify some.
Yeah,
And then when you're done, just do the whole thing together so we can hear it all.
The Town of Acton Conservation and Forestry Committee is putting up signage on road frontage to identify town lands. The committee is hoping this signage will lead to a greater awareness of town properties and help our conservation efforts.
bingo.
Yeah, I think
If you have any questions, please call Dan.
Michael should do that.
Home number is as
That's
follows.
right.
No, it'll be Ryan, he's the new guy.
Yeah. So is that the what? And are you gonna go into the why, or is that the what and the why?
I think,
I don't know, no, the conservation is the why,
Okay.
so I would not bother. What we do later with regard to extra added signage and extra added information will get us more specific later,
Love
I
it.
would say.
Sounds great. I'm super excited for this.
No need to overshoot this thing.
good,
Well, I think what Steve is looking at future problems with the verbiage, you know, somebody might come up and say, well, what did you mean?
Yeah.
10 years ago, you know.
I mean, we had, the signage numbers were based upon, what did I tell you? A sign per 50 feet of
Right.
road frontage or something like that?
right,
So,
and we don't have enough of that.
we do own one of them, just not both of them.
Right.
Right.
We have 100 signs,
We have enough to do one of the lots and per se the corners on the other ones or
Right.
something like
or
that.
where the road crosses the line,
Okay?
right?
The road crosses the line, what does that mean?
You know the road that you took us up to for the old town lot. You know how we had to go in. I'm guessing that's what you mean.
Yeah,
like
but we've
where-
got a couple, we have enough to do 50 by 50 feet spacing on one entire lot, do we not, of the frontage? That's how we did the math, I thought.
How many acres is it, Eagle Island?
85 plus minus.
Each 5 acres?
I thought I had your number somewhere.
It's not important, but I just remember giving you the number of signs that we would need to do the frontage of both woodlots completely. And we decided that was when we needed it to be split into two purchases.
Okay, here we go.
So therefore, if we have enough to do one of them, we can do one of the lots and then perhaps have enough before the second order to mark the corners of lot number 2, whichever one that happens to be.
Which one do you, I got two numbers here, 3,900 feet, 5,500 feet.
I'm not remembering which one's which.
Me neither. If it's 3,900 feet, we got enough, right? No. Every 50 feet? Geez, no.
I'm not, it's too late for math tonight, Mike, come on now.
We may have to
Sure,
space
it's
it
not
out.
any-
I think, if I remember correctly, the Hebo-Hibo lot did have more road frontage because we had long lots on both sides of the road.
Right, I think that's the 5,500.
And you don't think that's quite,
That would be
about 110,
100 feet,
110 signs.
every 100 feet.
if we're gonna have enough by the end of the summer, it's not gonna matter, I'm not
Right.
worried about it.
I think, Ryan, you haven't been out there, but if we put them, you know, like where the ATV trails have been going in, so that, those are pretty clear, but the others could be stretched out.
Well, I would, again, this is the forester coming out in me, I would always want a sign to be within sight of another. So that being the case, you wanna not mess with your spacing too greatly in the meantime. If you think we don't have enough and you wanna skip some to be filled in later,
Yeah,
or filled in with the other signs or something like that, that's fine. But there is a certain level of comfort in saying, we're walking along the road and I now know that I haven't seen one for 150 feet, that means we're off.
right. No,
Or
I get
something
it.
to that
I get it,
effect.
yeah.
Yep. So again, I'm not worried about getting every sign up on every,
No.
foot of both lots. If we have more coming, then it's really a short-term problem regardless. Keep getting this ball rolling is really what we're shooting for.
Yep, yep.
I think in regards to your folks' time, it would make sense to get one lot done, so you're not doing one lot, going to one, and then having to go back.
Right.
So like that way, you do a workshop, you can get it up and be like, we've got this covered now, we can focus on the other one once those signs come in too. So thinking of your time and what that would mean if you tried to split it.
Well, I was just thinking, if we're gonna put that out on those town website, we'd have signs, even though there'll only be a few on the town farm lot, there'd be signs there. And the Wilson Lake lot hasn't been purchased yet, so,
Hopefully soon. Well, you could also do like a timeline. You could say like we're starting with he will highlight the town forest, you could say we're starting with this, and say, updates. We're doing this, and we're looking at these lots, this one we have a scheduled date or time, these ones will be followed with announcement, when's the signs coming or something.
I think we're going around circles.
I don't think we need to be precise about this. That'll get us to the install time question too, but.
So, do we want to vote on that verbiage?
If it's deemed appropriate to do so, then yes, I'm
Could
okay
you
with I'm okay with the verbiage. If it's deemed required to vote on it, then yes.
I think we ought to.
Okay,
Because I think we ought to say this to the select board,
right.
this is what the committee,
We gave it to Dan and now
Yeah.
it's his problem.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read it out again?
would you please? Sure. Sir.
The Town of Acton Conservation and Forestry Committee is putting up signage on road frontage to identify town lands. Committee is hoping this signage will lead to a greater awareness of town properties and help our conservation efforts.
Fine. No need for more than that. Like to make a motion to submit that language as read to the selectmen for posting on the town website.
Second. Hang on. Do we want to put it on what's up in Acton?
Not overly.
No. Well, let's, any other discussion on the language? We'll keep things going down the road.
I'm happy with it.
All those in favor? 5-0. Okay. What's up in Acton? If anybody's on Facebook, that's,
I would be okay with making notes of it upon completion and such, but I wouldn't want to let the open Pandora's box with that just yet, because then you're going to end up answering a gajillion questions.
do it after we post the signs. Yeah. Okay.
Well, and that might be a good thing after we post the signs, take a couple of pictures. That lends itself well to social media, right? A couple signs here, we could repost that verbiage if we decide it's something we want to do.
And somebody mentioned a QR code?
Somebody, you,
No, what do you mean? Was it? Maybe we gotta change that.
I read that and I went, what?
Somebody mentioned it, because it was in my notes. That's. I think it was Dan.
I don't remember, I saw that in the notes too, like, oh wow, that's pretty
That's pretty high tech for
advanced
this group of people, right?
I remember somebody brought it up, I don't remember who.
I don't know.
I'll have to look, well,
If I'm out on the Hebo High Road and I have to worry about a QR code, we're in deep trouble already anyway.
I don't know. It was mentioned, I put it in the minutes.
it might have been Kelly. Was she here at the last meeting?
I think she was mentioning that something having to do with the educational opportunities
She
perhaps,
wasn't,
or
she
something.
wasn't here.
No. Well,
Yeah,
I'm
but-
making
Might have
some.
been before that.
Maybe,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
And I think that was, you know, like, go to the old foundation and take a QR code and see about information.
Okay.
I thought that might, in context, that might have had something to do with it.
First off, you have to tell me what QR stands for.
Isn't it that little,
Huh?
that little square?
Yeah. Anyway, do we want to set a date? Or dates?
No.
No?
By that I mean it's going to be so weather dependent, dude, in that road, you're not gonna know. Just as someone who has tried to put together at least a half a dozen walks on various town properties through the last 5 years, and 1 in 5 may actually occur,
Yeah.
I would rather organize it within this group and just simply post up that it's done or what we have done
Does
in the
that
proper
need,
form.
would that need a 10-day notice? since we may have a quorum out there nailing signs to trees.
You had better say no, my friend, because that's gonna be trouble.
I can double check. I thought, and don't quote me, anyone, anywhere. I thought there was a difference between like a workshop and a meeting, even though,
It was something like that.
But
I did have a little bit of that conversation too, because people just out and about on, you know, doing some volunteer work did not rise to the level of a notification, if I remember.
I will
correctly.
double check and I will CC you in that, Michael, or you can email Jennifer, whichever you prefer. By asking that question.
Okay.
When in doubt, ask Jennifer. She knows everything.
Okay.
She's not gonna like retire for a long time, right?
I hope not. She's worked her butt off enough. She's deserved to be right to, but I hope not.
It's pretty capable.
Having said that, though, the conservative method of document and overkill all documentation is not something I want to bring about on this. We're not trying to hide any work.
Oh, no,
We're not conducting any business. We're not making any decisions. So I would at least like to have it be known that this is no different than going out and picking up trash along a roadside of a particular public property or something to that effect. There is no, per se, business or decision-making being done here. This is just
work doing and
some work.
I know that, and I think it's
However,
just double checking and
If
making
there's a
sure.
quorum at one spot at one time, then I don't know if it matters if it's a,
And that's what whoever will have to follow up with Jennifer about that, just to make sure you cover everyone's.
How close is one spot? Start on either end of the road.
okay. So could we say May or or just figure out when the black fly is gonna be the worst and then schedule it?
Again, I don't mind posting up 2 or 3 different times
Yeah.
that we might think it's gonna work, and then just saying, we have a rain date here, a bug date here, a Hebo-Hibo Road closure date, or, you know what I mean, I don't know what you wanna put on it.
I think,
If this were the town farm lot, it would be a lot easier, but
Sure.
the Hebo-Hibo lot is going to have so many more concerns on getting people there, getting gear there, whatever you know.
How
you're
about,
hammering.
how about late spring?
Again, the later, the
Well,
more,
I mean, it gives you.
the later in the spring, the
Uh,
more
date.
chance you have of it coming off
Yeah.
a success. But, again, I don't think it's it's not gonna take all that long. If you have 2 people leapfrogging each other down the length of a road, or one person, even if you wanted to measure the frontage with a little, I call it my string tracker, you know, and just make a mark on the
I get what it was.
ground and,
I think the
Chain.
most difficult part of the work is going to be getting to the location.
well,
Not the
again,
actual
there's the
work.
point. So we can talk weather, we can talk bugs, but then there's just straight up getting there.
Yeah.
So,
Will you be bringing your jet up?
My
This is-
jet
right,
my jet
right.
is retired from that road.
I think that's a good call. I wouldn't wanna put it in this month.
No, the other thing, is to include Kelly and Jim. Jim's gonna be here after next week, so, both of them said they'd be interested in helping, so,
And as they haven't seen a lot, it would be
yeah.
a
advantageous.
twofer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then, yeah, if we had them up by the end of May.
Yep.
An evening, you know, a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock thing, and,
Again, you can try, it'll be a weather situation,
yeah, you're
that's
right,
all.
yeah.
It's a windy day.
Huh?
A
Windy
windy day.
day, that's right,
Right.
like today.
That's a good day.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say,
Weather permitting.
okay. Now, I have to respond to Jen, she sent me an email, so I'll respond to that and ask her about if we need to post it for 10 days prior to the event.
And if that's the case, if that is the case, I would post up 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah.
At that time.
Right.
not miss the first one and then have to post again and go 10 more days and then 10 more days
Yeah.
and then 10 more days.
And then we're.
Then you're into August.
Yeah, hunting season. All right. So, anything else on the signs?
I'm good.
I'll see if I can,
Yeah, I would see if you can, you know, make a little jig so that you can punch those before we, punch them before we take them out. On to town meeting.
the town meeting is this Saturday, starts at 9 o'clock in the Acton Elementary School. So, John, can you make it Saturday?
I'm not sure. Mother-in-law stuff.
Right,
We're trying to move her out of her current assisted living place, so I really have no idea.
okay. So just so you're clear,
Yep.
this getting voted in onto the committee is the second warrant article. So, it should be, we should be done with that by 9:15, 9:20.
Okay.
Well, you still have the whole swearing in process, et cetera, at the beginning, but that
Right.
doesn't take.
Right.
I will say, we have seen situations where someone was not present who got voted in. I do not think it would be hard for an exception to be made because it is a personal issue. And if you get permission, especially on camera, saying that you are interested in being nominated, you could have it planned that someone can plan, if you're going or I will, to nominate you and someone can second, and we can just say, we
Right.
got your permission.
It's not,
Especially being a personal issue.
right, it's not a deal breaker.
This is a pretty regular thing that we have people put on the committee by town vote that aren't at town meeting. That happens
Yeah.
practically every year.
Right.
For somebody that's up.
Let me touch base with the boss when I get home. That early, it probably won't be an issue.
Yeah.
But
But if it is,
then
Somebody-
I'll reach right back out to you and say,
yeah,
let's figure this out.
well, if we don't see you, we're gonna nominate you for everything.
Yeah, I know, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
And then, Brian, you spell your name?
Ryan, R-Y-A-N.
Yeah, that's what,
No typo.
It used to be.
kept getting confused with Brian. So next year, you would go, and then
Ryan and James would be next year, Jim.
Ryan and Jim would be next year, and then Kelly and Joe would be the year after. You might wanna take the oath, just,
Oh.
and you're stuck, so.
I'm eternal.
You're. All right, is that all?
My body does not think so.
And then the, what did we say, the 6th warrant article
Was the,
or 7th?
I don't know, I sent it to you there. I read it to you.
I even opened it up.
Thank you for the warrant articles, Daniel.
No, it's also, if anyone is interested, it is right on the website. I did look, I wasn't sure. I almost,
It was? Where? I mean, I dug and I don't know if it was 3 tabs in or something.
no, it was right. I will tell you, sometimes the way that the links are, they blend so well in with the wording that, like, I know that's happened because I've looked for something on the website before and it was blended in with the word so well. So, like, when I scanned it, I wanted to, like, make sure, and it was, I was like, oh, it was right there. So it is on the front page, but you have to catch it. It doesn't, like, stick out like a big, here I am type of thing.
Right.
So Article 5 is the adoption, proposed adoption of our ordinance. So hopefully that wouldn't take too long either to get to number 5.
That won't have any particular time and length attached to it either specifically.
No. and that was approved. The warrant and finance recommendation was 6-0 and the select board was 5-0, so. Should go pretty good. And then the next one that concerns us is Article 20,
Was it 21 or something like that?
yep, 21. To move, liquidate and transfer to the general fund the balance of our reserve after we take out the $500 for our budget.
And then there was the little bit that was remaining in the account of
The Forestry Reserve Fund, which was $480, put those together to pay for
and allocate a little more to,
$677 for the update to the forest management plan. And that's Article 21. And those were approved 6-0 by the warrant finance and 5-0 by the select board. And then if you really, I'll stop. After
Wanna
that is
get
the
to
school
that.
board.
yeah.
Right? I think that was it. So,
And I will be around through that article to answer any questions pertaining to the management plan
okay,
update.
okay.
Awesome.
This is,
And then it's my wife's birthday, so I'm probably out of there.
yeah, you don't wanna miss that.
Again.
Never cuts trouble.
I kinda put this in the wrong order, but I did go to the public hearing for the ordinance and, the Conservation and Forestry, Committee ordinance, and there was no, discussion, no questions from the public. It was just a public hearing, so there was no vote taken, and, I just gave a little blurb on why we wanted it and its evolution, and that was that.
So that was given by you previous to the 6050 vote, or was that under a different forum?
This was just a public hearing, there was no vote afterwards.
And I believe we took the, because we had to get these articles, so the board of the warrant finance, we took the vote in advance, but any article that we have
Yep.
has to go to public, so it was just feedback or anything, kind of just hearing what people had to say, if they had anything to say, negative or positive.
So, is there any news on the Wilson Lake lot that you can share?
The last thing I don't know if you were at the meeting, I think you were, I think you had asked about it,
Mhm.
and that was the most recent update that I had. I think there's a lot of just legal stuff,
Legal
that's
stuff.
that kind of boring stuff that we're not gonna know anything until there's an answer.
Yeah.
But if I hear anything, I'll definitely make sure that you're updated about that. That's not, that meeting was the last time I heard about it.
Ryan, that was, the town is in the process of purchasing a little strip of land next to the Wilson Lake boat launch.
Okay.
That was up for sale, and it would have impacted the ability to get on and off the lake without going in the outlet stream, so. They voted to try to
Someone
purchase.
again?
Yeah, someone again.
Remind me what the situation was with the Moose Pond thing that we had brought up in the past.
Wasn't Moose Pond, the gentleman that was, the family wanted to donate some of that?
I don't.
That was a while ago, I just haven't heard of it in a while.
It came-
I don't
it-
think-
Because I remember in that, I don't know if it was me or you, I know I think I've gotten it sent to you, I think they said they were looking at different avenues. And I think we had brought it to the select board and I'll have to go back. I'm starting to show my age. I can't remember stuff, but
Don't even go there.
I feel like the discussion was like there was a different way for them to handle that.
I think the landowners may go a different route.
Like maybe Three Rivers, I think was an option. There was something else
Yeah.
that seemed
I
like,
just had forgotten about it until we talked to Wilson, so.
yeah. And so I feel like that was determined seemed like the more logical route than going through the town with Wilson. With Wilson, it made sense, whereas this route was like there's other opportunities. It wasn't like they were choosing. It wasn't like, oh, this is just could be anyone. And I think their intention was to keep it conserved, and I think there was like a route that we had deemed made more sense for them to try that way.
Mhm.
But I could be lying, so do not take anything I say. Take it with a grain of salt, very, very tiny
I
grain
think
of
that's
salt.
what it was. That's what I remember too.
It'll pop back up if different, so.
Or if it moves towards the town getting something. Anything else under old business? The only other thing I had under new business was the continuation of the education activities, and I was kinda hoping that Kelly would be here to help us with that. If anybody has any other thoughts?
Like this kind of goes into maybe the soil map, soil science, plant species and wading birds, but kind of
Right.
wetland delineation as part of that. I mean, you do that with plant species, there could be a couple, and that is something I have experience with.
Yep, yep. Do you wanna add that then,
Yep,
under possible education activities?
already did.
Okay, thank you.
Well, remember, a lot of that is already within the forest management plan of that lot. So, I mean, obviously, that's not just like, hey, you walk up to the woodlot and there's a picture of all the stuff that's there, like on a kiosk or something. But a
Right.
lot of that information at a level that would be absorbable by people at that level is already created.
The materials there is how do we present it?
Yeah.
In a way that, you know, maybe the elementary school students or homeschooled students or the general public would understand.
Mhm.
Big ask.
Yeah. Anything else on that?
As time goes by, I can make contact with Wes Ham again to try to get a little
Yeah.
more of the historical portion of that, since he's already done research on the existence and use of the town farm over
Right.
time. So that'll go to the historical side of it.
Isn't there a society and is it Acton's Shapley right there and?
They're not gonna know. Believe me, they're not gonna know more than Wes, I promise you.
Yeah, yeah, no, but I mean, there is one there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody heard of the Lincoln School in Acton? Where was that?
It's between, you know, the Herds farmstead, Herds, top of the hill, you know, Milton Mills Road.
No, Lincoln School is the one at the end of Orchard Road, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Orchard Road, yeah.
Okay,
I was trying to get him on Milton Mills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, okay. Anyway, side note.
Having said that, though, I don't know if this ever was a thing, but the road that is immediately adjacent across the street, across Milton Mills Road from the Lincoln School, is the far trail that comes into the town farm woodlot.
Okay.
Remember where we came in and I said,
Yep.
this road goes all the way back out?
Yeah.
Does that lot have a right of way through the Milton Mills Road?
That's above my pay grade.
Well, yeah, cause I looked at it and I was trying to figure out, did somebody own that property and was this behind it or be something good to clarify? They've got people walking through the loop and came out and said, you know, I'm headed up to Milton Mills.
Walking through, you lost me, Joe.
The loop, if they went up the town park road and then went through the property and then with the intention.
Oh, that's miles and miles and miles though.
I know,
If
but
you were
with the-
mountain biking it, it would be a thing
Yeah,
perhaps,
but
but.
with the intentions of coming out Milton Mills Road, you know. Or going
You
in Milton
could,
Mills Road and coming out.
you could, but you do have several property owners that have, again, this is where I made the comment about being above my pay grade, is
Yeah.
that road has never been used or never been an actual road. Having said that, you know, you may have, a shed in the way or a barn or a house or a porch or
But
something.
does that property encompass this Woodby Road?
I don't know.
We don't know, okay. Well, it'd be interesting to find out.
I'm saying I don't think that has ever, again, I didn't go dive deep enough into the deed work of the property other than to establish the property lines. The town farm road is a discontinued road. I don't know its actual date of discontinuance, but I never found anything that said that the road back out to the Lincoln School was an actual road or right of way. So I wouldn't want to open Pandora's box and start suggesting that people, you know, again, people can walk on others' property without, you know, it being posted and such, but that's never been tested, and I wouldn't want to put something out there that would be incorrect. Is that fair?
Yeah. Anything else? Dan, do you know if there's a gravel pit ordinance in town?
I know there is.
Oh man, where are you going with this?
You'll see.
I know that there's an ordinance in regards to. I can't think of the names. We just have to deal with one of these. I don't think it's called a gravel pit, but it's. I think.
Quarry,
Yeah.
something like that.
Where there are like certain things that have to be, like in regards to like boundary, how much you take out, how long it's active, stuff like that. I know the code enforcement officer deals with things like
Does it?
that.
Okay.
But yeah, I have like the
Be
particular.
careful.
I can share it with you. I can share the ordinance with you.
I can, it's online, right?
It should be.
I'll look at it. Okay. That's all I have.
Okay,
Anybody?
thank you.
I'm intrigued now.
Rabbit hole.
Anything else? Next meeting is the 12th. Does that make sense? I think I got the right date.
Yeah, that's what you want. I do have one just little reminder, not really, but just not to forget the town cleanup, which would be a good opportunity. It's the 26th, and it's doing roads, cleaning up trash on the roads.
Yeah.
But also, if you have young ones, you can go to Mary Grant as well, because they're partnering up. So like, if you don't feel safe having your kids on the roads, you can go and help Mary Grant with their cleanup.
It's actually the meeting, I'm sorry, the meeting date is the 13th. The 12th is Monday. Sorry. Right? We got the right year? May 13th.
Right.
I would say that you're joking. They say that you just lost your job, but nobody else was.
I think you're safe. Speaking of which, there will be elections for officers of the committee after the town meeting.
What a segue.
What a segue. So get your nomination papers out, your signs, your campaign signs, and go from there. Somebody got dinged.
That was me.
Anything else?
Election going on, yeah. So there's John and you, right?
What's that? Yeah.
Okay.
And then next year it'll be Jim and Ryan, and then the following year it'll be you and Kelly.
Gotta get sworn in first.
Yeah, it'll be a good idea.
Instead of being sworn at.
Well, we can do both.
It's not
You
you.
make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
I second it.
All those approved? All those-
Is that a warning code?
What's that?
Is that a